I'm in Mongolia. I'm putting my entire trip at risk. Yeah, it's probably one of the most difficult decisions I've made in this entire trip. I'm Mark Wallace. I'm a full-time traveler. In 2016, I left the United States with the goal of riding my motorcycle across every continent except Antarctica. I wanted to see the world, and because nobody was crazy enough to do it with me, I decided I'd do it alone. It took me 3 years, but I finally did it. And then I just kept going. I'm still riding, still exploring, and my wanderlust is untamed. My name is Mark Wallace, and these are my stories. This is the story of Shifty Drifty. That's the name of my motorcycle. It's also the name of this channel, but it means a lot more to me than just that. And so to help you understand, I'd like to set the stage and tell you the story properly. We have to go back in time to 2017. I was riding around the world solo on my motorcycle, and it was time to cross Russia. And so I was planning to cross all of Russia, down into Mongolia, back into Russia, and then all the way over to the Sea of Japan, and then hop on a ship and go to Southeast Asia. I made it all the way to Moscow, Russia, where, wouldn't you know it, I got acute bronchitis and I had to stay in bed for a few days. And that was not good news because I was already late. Back in my previous journey in London, my motorcycle was stolen. And so all the costs of repairing the motorcycle and the time it took to get parts had delayed me by about 2 months. And that just had a domino effect. Getting all the permits and everything to get into Russia delayed me again. And so I was planning to be in Russia in June, but it was already August. So I was getting reports from people in Siberia that it was starting to snow, the rivers were rising in Siberia, and just things were not looking good. Well, fortunately, I stayed in bed a few days, a doctor helped me out, and I did some touristy things, and I was finally ready to get back on the road. So I rode 8 long days to Novosibirsk, Russia. It's the geographical center of Russia, and really the beginning of our story. Once I got into Novosibirsk, I met this amazing person. Her name is Agata, and she was an English student at the university in Novosibirsk. And so we met coincidentally, and she said, hey, let me show you around town. No, none of my friends have met an American, much less an American that's ridden in on a motorcycle. We'd like to take you out for drinks. And well, here's what happened. These are my Russian friends.
It's a video.
Yeah, it's a video.
Oh, okay, it's great.
We just had this. What is this called?
I don't know this word, so it's whiskey on the figs. Like a fig. How it was? How was it?
It was like bourbon.
1, 2, 3.
Well, we kept drinking, and the night became a little bit interesting, to say the least. A few more university students showed up, and because none of them had met an American before, they wanted me to say some American slang phrases. And so they were asking me stuff like, hey, say rock and roll, man. And so I'd say, okay, rock and roll. Say it's cool. I'd be like, okay, it's cool. And they say, okay, say the what's up. Say what's up. What's up? And they're like, say the Shifty Drifty. What? Say Shifty Drifty. I'm like, I have no idea what Shifty Drifty is. And these kids were telling me, no, Shifty Drifty, our favorite American phrase is Shifty Drifty.
Shifty Drifty.
And I didn't have the heart to tell them that that wasn't an American phrase, but I was really curious, like, what the heck is Shifty Drifty? So Agata, my friend, said, well, Shifty Drifty sort of means, you know, if you had a good day, it's Shifty Drifty. If you had a bad day, it's Shifty Drifty. How'd the test go? Shifty Drifty. How's your new car? Shifty Drifty. It's a catch-all phrase that could mean anything. Well, the next day I had a really nice hangover, but I was able to get some really awesome coffee at the coffee shops in Novosibirsk, and I was also able to find some military rations, which I know I would need when I got to Mongolia. So I had another great night's rest, and then I began my ride south through the Ural Mountains toward Mongolia. This ride was spectacular. It's one of my favorite rides in all of my rides around the world. Zipping along, and then I see this. That does not inspire confidence. I am at the Mongolian border. We're waiting here for somebody to let us through the gate. I'm in Mongolia. I've been told 10 kilometers of very bad road. Let's see what happens. So when I got to Saganor, I could not find the hotel that was on my map. And I met this really interesting little guy, and he told me he could take me to the hotel. And after riding all over town, I finally realized he was just taking me to his house where he wanted me to stay. But I decided to camp out in his gigantic yard, and it was really fantastic. Hello.
I want my house.
Well, hey, I have camped out in Mongolia. Whoa, let me fix that. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Look at this. Right behind me, there's a rainbow. That's gotta mean good things. How amazing is that? Here's my tent here. I got it all set up. There's a big storm that's supposed to be coming, so I am cooking my MREs right now. Supposed to get below freezing and very cold, so I'm gonna bundle up and try to stay warm until morning. And the riding today was incredibly hard, and tomorrow it's supposed to be worse. So I hope I can make it maybe 200 miles tomorrow, but that's, I think, a stretch goal. We'll see. After a night of sleep, I headed east toward Ulaanbaatar. It's been raining for the last 2 days or 3 days, so the roads that I'm on in the low spots have turned into little lakes. So I have to cross this. It's really murky in there. So if the back tire gets stuck, then I am stuck. So I've made little routes here to sort of get from the muck to solid ground, back to muck, back to solid ground, and then farther on down, hopefully there's some washes I walk through that are all just gravel in the bottom. Did it, but what you don't know is I've been on roads like this all day. I've only done 40 miles and I'm already exhausted, and I'm sure there's a bunch more of this there, but man, that was touch and go. I almost went down. Shoot. Shoot. There we go. During this crazy ride across the muck and mud and water and gravel, I was drifting all over the place, and I was really having a tough time shifting gears, and I thought, this is sort of shifty drifty. I started thinking about that, and then I found this little note that I got that had snuck into my motorcycle top bag, and it said, "Don't forget about shifty drifty." And the whole day became sort of a shifty drifty day. And that's when I realized, well, my bike needs to be called Shifty Drifty because the entire ride around the world was Shifty Drifty. Okay, I'm going through my first official river crossing. There's no way this bike is going to go across with it weighted down, so this guy right here is walking across, is carrying my bags. I paid him some money to do that, and he's helping to guide me across the river. So he rode across the river twice on his very light motorcycle, twice, without a helmet, in sandals, while he was whistling. So, no pressure. I pray that's my last river crossing of the day. I think it is, but behind me I can see a rainstorm coming. So I'm gonna get some water here, purify it, drink it, get some more, purify that, and get out of here. Suddenly the weather got really bad, just a ton of rain, a huge storm. So I was able to ride through that storm to the top of this hill where I was able to finally make camp for the night. That night in my tent, I spent hours talking to my brother Manin via satellite communicator, a very difficult process because we'd had to do everything by text. We were looking at weather patterns and alternate routes back into Russia, trying to decide if the roads to the east were safe and if I could make it before snow started to fall. I had crossed some really difficult roads, but by every indication, things to the east looked even worse. I decided to sleep on it and make a decision in the morning. After a really difficult day yesterday, some river crossings, lots of marsh, lots of deep gravel, sand, I just started to doubt the wisdom of trying to do this alone. And so I decided that I'm going to turn around and go back to Russia. And the reason for that is I just don't think the reward is worth the risk. I'm in the rainy season right now. I've been stuck in some rainstorms for the last 2 days. I'm at best making 50 miles in a day. And I just think, you know, if I fall or hurt myself, my trip is over. And there's nobody that's going to be there to help me. There's no assistance. If I drop the bike, if it gets stuck in a river, there's no getting it out. I'm putting my entire trip at risk and my health at risk. And so I really thought a lot about it because I just thought I could just man up and do it and get through it. I think I could, but I just think the risk is too high. And I feel like I'm disappointing a lot of people that, you know, I talk to about doing this, they've done it themselves, but in the end I have to make sure I take care of myself, and so I'm going to turn back. Yeah, it's probably one of the most difficult decisions I've made in this entire trip. I'm really not sure how I feel about it right now, but I think I should go back. So that's what I'm going to do. I rode down from the hilltop to a tiny town of Baishent, and there I met another English teacher by the name of Wansha, and he told me that because of the heavy rains the day before, the river that I'd crossed previously was impassable. I couldn't get across it on my motorcycle, it was just too deep. But he did have a friend that had a four-wheel drive and a trailer, and they could take me across. Wansha is a English teacher here.
Yeah.
And he's going to help me get across the river.
Yep.
This is my ride across the river right here.
Nice.
These are the roads. We are off to cross the river.
Yeah. My name is Vancha.
Mancha?
Vatvair.
Vatvair. My
And
name's
who's this guy?
Humboldt.
Humboldt.
I have got the iPad. Мөрдөр гадаа юустаа. Сэтгэлийн үе байдаг сонслоо шахах.
İşte geliyor karşıya.
Well, I rode for hours and hours and finally made it back to Saganor, where I was able to find that original hotel that the little guy said didn't exist. And I had a fantastic night in the hotel, got some rest, and then finally turned north and headed back to Novosibirsk. So what is Shifty Drifty? Well, for sure, Shifty Drifty is my motorcycle and it's this channel on YouTube. But for me, Shifty Drifty personifies everything about travel. It's the attitude, it's the mindset of just knowing things are gonna be okay, even if you don't make it across Mongolia, or you lay your bike down, or your car breaks down, or you run out of money, or whatever it is, it's Shifty Drifty. It's gonna be okay. And so Shifty Drifty for me has become sort of a mantra for living daily life, and I love it. I won't forget about Shifty Drifty, and I hope you won't either.